Welcome to G Fun Facts Online. Within the trillions of cells that make up your body, you are carrying a secret history. It's a story written in the language of DNA, and some of its most compelling chapters were not written by our direct Homo sapiens ancestors. They were ghostwritten by long-extinct human relatives, whose faint genetic whispers still echo within us today. One of the most mysterious and influential of these authors is a group known as the Denisovans. Their genetic gifts have been instrumental in our own species' success, allowing modern humans to survive and thrive in some of the most extreme environments on Earth. Our story begins not with a skull or a skeleton, but with a piece of bone no larger than a child's thumbnail. In 2008, in a cold, remote cave in the Altai Mountains of Siberia, archaeologists found this tiny fragment of a finger bone. The cave, called Denisova Cave, was known to have been inhabited by Neanderthals, so the assumption was that the bone belonged to one of them. But the cave's frigid, dry conditions performed a miracle of preservation, safeguarding the ancient DNA within the bone. Scientists at the Max Planck Institute in Germany managed to sequence the genetic material from this fragment, and the results were staggering. The DNA didn't match Neanderthals, nor did it match modern humans. It belonged to an entirely new, previously unknown branch of the human family tree. This was a landmark moment in science. For the first time ever, an extinct human relative was identified not by its anatomy, but purely by its genetic code. They were named Denisovans, after the cave that held their secret for over 50,000 years. Further analysis of their nuclear DNA revealed that Denisovans were a sister group to Neanderthals. Their family line split from a common ancestor around 500,000 years ago. That common ancestor had, in turn, diverged from our own modern human lineage even earlier, somewhere between 550,000 and 765,000 years ago. So they were our distant cousins. The fossil record for Denisovans remains incredibly scarce. Besides the finger bone, we have a few massive molars, some skull fragments, and a remarkable 160,000-year-old jawbone found on the Tibetan Plateau. These scant remains suggest they were robust, with wide skulls and powerful jaws. But the most incredible part of the Denisovan story isn't what their bones look like, but what their genes tell us about our own past. When scientists compared the Denisovan genome to the genomes of people alive today, they uncovered proof of ancient encounters. Our ancestors didn't just live alongside Denisovans, they interbred with them, and this wasn't a one-time event. The evidence points to multiple episodes of interbreeding with at least 3 distinct Denisovan populations, as modern humans migrated out of Africa and spread across Asia. Traces of this ancient DNA are found today in people across Asia and Oceania. The highest concentration, up to 5% of their total genome, is found in Melanesians, the indigenous peoples of New Guinea and nearby islands. This tells us that Denisovans had an enormous geographical range, from the freezing mountains of Siberia and Tibet all the way to the tropical jungles of Southeast Asia. In 2018, the Denisova Cave offered up another astonishing secret. A bone fragment from a 13-year-old girl who lived 90,000 years ago, nicknamed Denny, was analyzed. Her DNA was unbelievable. She was a first-generation hybrid. Her mother was a Neanderthal, and her father was a Denisovan. This was direct, irrefutable proof that these different archaic human groups were meeting and having children together. This inheritance of genetic material through interbreeding has a scientific name, introgression, and when that inherited DNA provides a survival advantage, it's called adaptive introgression. This is the heart of the Denisovan legacy. They provided our ancestors with a pre-packaged toolkit of genetic adaptations, a shortcut to surviving in new and hostile environments that our African ancestors were simply not prepared for. One of the most stunning examples of this is found in the people of the Tibetan Plateau. This region, often called the roof of the world, is one of the most inhospitable places on Earth. At an average elevation of 4 500 meters. The air has about 40% less oxygen than at sea level. For most people, moving to such a high altitude triggers the body to produce more red blood cells to capture more oxygen. But this backfires. It thickens the blood, putting immense strain on the heart and leading to serious health problems. Tibetans, however, thrive there. Their bodies have a unique adaptation that prevents this dangerous overproduction of red blood cells. The secret lies in a specific variant of a gene called EPAS1. This gene helps regulate the body's response to low oxygen. The Tibetan version of EPAS1 is so effective at fine-tuning this response that it's sometimes nicknamed the super athlete gene. For years, this was thought to be a classic case of evolution through slow mutation and natural selection. But when scientists located the gene and compared it to ancient DNA databases, they found a near-perfect match in the Denisovan genome. The ancestors of modern Tibetans didn't evolve this trait from scratch. They acquired it through interbreeding with Denisovans, who were already adapted to the high-altitude life. This genetic gift was a crucial factor in the successful human settlement of the Tibetan Plateau. The discovery of that 160,000-year-old Denisovan jawbone in a cave on the plateau confirmed it. Denisovans were there first, and they passed their high-altitude survival kit on to us. The Denisovan influence didn't stop at high altitudes. As modern humans pushed into new continents, they encountered legions of unfamiliar viruses, bacteria, and other pathogens. The Denisovans and their relatives had been living in these regions for hundreds of thousands of years, and their immune systems had evolved to fight off the local diseases. Interbreeding gave our ancestors a critical defensive advantage. Today, the Papuan people of New Guinea have the highest levels of Denisovan ancestry in the world, and it's precisely this Denisovan DNA that has been shown to have a profound impact on their immune systems. Studies have found that Denisovan gene variants are located right next to important immune-related genes in modern Papuans, acting like dimmer switches that regulate the immune response. Genes inherited from Denisovans, such as TNFAIP3 and the OAS gene family, are crucial in fighting off viral infections. For the first modern humans venturing into the pathogen-rich jungles of Southeast Asia, this inherited immunity would have been the difference between life and death. It was a vital booster shot that facilitated the survival and settlement of an entire region. One recent study even identified a single, functional Denisovan gene variant common in Papuans that heightens inflammatory responses, providing a powerful defense against microbes. The genetic ghostwriting of the Denisovans also left its mark in the freezing landscapes of the far north. Among the Inuit people of Greenland, scientists have found a section of their genome that helps them adapt to the extreme cold, and it bears the unmistakable signature of Denisovan ancestry. This region contains two key genes, TBX15 and WARS2. The TBX15 gene is known to be involved in the distribution of body fat. Crucially, it's linked to the development of a special type of fat called brown adipose tissue. Unlike regular white fat that stores energy, brown fat is a biological furnace. Its primary job is to generate heat in response to cold temperatures. The specific version of this genetic region found in the Inuit, which helps them regulate body temperature and store fat in a way that's beneficial in a cold climate, is a direct inheritance from an ancient Denisovan-related group. Once again, an encounter with our archaic relatives provided a genetic solution for surviving in a harsh new world, likely aiding the spread of humans through Siberia and into the Americas. So what does all of this tell us? It completely upends the simple linear picture of human evolution that many of us were taught. The story of humanity is not a neat family tree with Homo sapiens sitting alone at the top. It's far more complex and beautiful. It's better described as a braided stream, where different human populations flowed alongside each other, occasionally meeting, mixing, and merging. Hybridization and introgression weren't evolutionary side notes. They were a central and powerful force. By borrowing genes from our archaic relatives, our species was able to rapidly adapt to an incredible diversity of environments, from the highest mountains to the coldest climes. We are, in a very real sense, a mosaic species. The story of the Denisovans is a powerful reminder of how much we still have to learn about our own origins. With just a handful of bones and a wealth of genetic data, we have uncovered a hidden chapter of our history. It makes you wonder what other undiscovered groups might have contributed to our genetic heritage. The whispers of our ancestors are still locked away in our DNA, waiting for the tools of science to bring their stories fully into the light. We are all living archives of a deep, tangled, and truly fascinating human history. Thanks for listening to G Fun Facts Online.